One thing we do know is the team who have made the mask for the Fiend, of course, led by the legendary Tom Savini. There was a whole team behind making the mask, and I think one of the most common names brought up is, of course, Jason Baker. Now, Jason Baker has confirmed the team who were behind the making of the new Fiend mask that you saw at Fastlane and, of course, on Monday Night Raw. But that's not all. Jason Baker tweeted out today this: a medical form that seemingly talks about the death of the Fiend. Now, honestly, I have no medical experience. I have no idea what this says. But I know someone who does. Jodie! If you don't know who Jodie is, she hosts Abby's Window on the Insiders Wrestling podcast. And, conveniently for this video, she is, of course, a healthcare professional. So, of course, well, that means that's a nurse, and she has medical experience. And I thought she's the perfect person to talk me through this, because I have no idea what I'm talking about. So, Jodie,
yes.
What are we looking at with this picture from Jason Baker?
So this is a investigation by a county medical examiner. So anytime that you have a demise of a person, the coroner's office is going to send out a medical examiner if they feel that the person who is demised should be investigated. So that's where they come up with this form, along with a transportation of remains to a facility to dispose of the remains properly.
Right.
That's
so what does this form actually tell us?
So this form tells us that Bray, the Fiend Wyatt, who is a male, non-applicable age or home address, who has an occupation of, I think it says wrestler. I've tried to lighten this up as much as I can, but it definitely starts with a W and ends in an R. And it also states that the type of death is violent.
Right.
The description of the body: he was fully clothed with red eyes, blonde hair, a mustache, a beard, weight of 215, length 6'3", body temperature 62.7 degrees Fahrenheit, no signs of rigor mortis, liver color black, and it is non-fixed.
So what does that mean to a dumb person like me?
So rigor mortis is something that occurs naturally in the first 24 hours after someone passes away. Their body gets very rigid. You get a lot of pooling of blood depending on how they're laying. You start to have breakdown of their red cells called lysis. So saying that there is no rigor mortis typically would mean that this person has been dead for over 24 hours.
Is there any certain time frame that you can look at that form and say, how long after TLC was this form created?
You can't, it doesn't have a time on it. It just has the date of December 20th, 2020, which obviously we know is the date of TLC. You can calculate around about how long ago the person died based on their body temperature. So the body temperature is 62.7, so that's about a 36 degree drop in body temperature. If you subtract the two temperatures and divide it by 1.5, which is the formula for calculating hours, it's going to put you at 24 hours since death.
Okay, so it doesn't add up completely then.
Not quite.
It does make sense because they've always said the Fiend is already dead. So he was dead before TLC started by the looks of it.
The only thing that confuses me a little bit is the fact that they've said that the liver is non-fixed, which is
Right.
very common for after 24 hours of death.
Oh, okay.
Typically, it moves into a fixed position and is non-blanchable, meaning that when you touch it, it does not change color. That typically doesn't starts to happen after 24 hours. So with it being non-fixed, that's pretty uncommon.
And what about the rest of the form? Because there's a lot more information on that form.
There is a lot more information on that form. So I will read you exactly what that paragraph says now that I've lightened it up. So, third degree burns over 90% of entire body, extreme damage to face, torso, and arms. Victim was covered in flammable material, then ignited. Majority of epidermis on the face removed due to injury. Dermis and muscle tissue exposed in face, torso, and arms. Little to no hair remains on head. Right orbital socket exposed. Right eye missing. Lungs show signs of necrosis due to inhalation of smoke. Victim did not die instantly.
Well, that's interesting because we saw him at Fastlane with seemingly no contact in the right eye.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. That's interesting. But then on the image for WrestleMania, he does have both eyes there. So maybe there is a regeneration thing happening.
Definitely could be possible.
Towards the bottom, called.
So towards the bottom,
Here we go. She knows exactly what I was going to say.
the things that they've blacked out are probable cause of death and manner of death. So probable cause of death, they have put immolation, which is to kill or destroy, most commonly by fire. It's also a common term used in ritualistic sacrifices. And in terms of manner of death, they have put pending. They haven't said it's a homicide or an unknown. They've said that it is pending.
Okay.
The next box over, the only thing, so it's not a medical examiner case, which means that they have not had the coroner's office come out and look at it. So it's not being investigated by the police department. Typically, that's what that means. But they have requested and ordered a full autopsy. So this is kind of a preliminary one. So it's possible we get another more detailed autopsy where they actually open the chest and examine all the internal organs and things like that.
I wonder if that's why he's maybe wearing this big chest protector we're seeing now, because maybe he's been cut open.
Mm-hmm.
There was something else interesting on that form, and that is the doctor's name. Because we've had the name Dr. M before involved with Bray Wyatt, and this name was...
It looks to me like Dr. Manfredini. Definitely Dr. M.
Just for the record, we have no idea who this person is, but if we had Dr. M before, and now Dr. whoever this person is, and you've got to believe that maybe eventually we'll get the reveal of who this person actually is. And it's interesting to keep noting down and taking notes of what's being released, because very cool. But one thing that is very interesting is they've definitely blacked out the words death.
Yes, so everything that's blacked out in the bottom, I can read you what it actually says, because everything they blacked out basically is the word death. So it's signed by the county medical officer of Tampa Bay Memorial Hospital. It says, I hereby declare that after receiving notice of the death described herein, I took charge of the body and made inquiries regarding the cause of death in accordance with section whatever code it was. And that the information contained herein regarding such death is true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief.
So it is almost like they're trying to cover up the fact that this was a death. Like, this death never happened. The death didn't actually happen. That's why everything's been blacked out that's involving the word death, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. I think it's great that they've released this. What do you think?
I think it's awesome. Obviously, I was really excited because I recognized that form immediately because I've seen them before. there's some juicy pieces of information in there, that he didn't die instantly. Things don't quite add up in terms of the rigor mortis and the liver being non-fixed. Everything else would suggest that he had been dead for over 24 hours.
Wow. Well, I've got to say thank you for helping me, because genuinely, everyone wants me to make a video on this, and I've got no idea what I'm looking at that form. So having someone I can go, I know who to turn to. So, Jodie, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Well, there you go. We found a way to break down that form from Jason Baker, because I wouldn't have a clue where to start with that, apart from basically telling you the words. I wouldn't know what it meant. So a massive, huge shout out to Jodie Gilly from Abby's Window on the Insiders Wrestling podcast. Thank you for joining me, Jodie. And of course, I want to know your thoughts. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like the video, and I'll see you next time. Peace!